Daniel Becker. I'm from Hopkinsville, Kentucky. This is my 1974 911. It was a base model car. I bought it from its original owner. It has 60,000 miles when I purchased the car. It had been in a non-driven state, stored in a barn for about 30 years when I got it, totally non-movable. So a friend of mine was skiing in Vermont and saw this car in the back of a barn, and he called me up and said, you know, I think the guy might sell this car. So called up the guy, he said, yeah, I guess I'll sell it. So we loaded up a trailer and headed from Kentucky to Vermont, backed up into the barn, greased the trailer and winched this car, all four wheels locked up on the trailer, and I brought it home. And 9 years later, it's my personal hot rod. As soon as I saw the raw picture of it, I knew what I wanted it to do. This is not my first one. I've built about 11 of them. So I've raced them for many years, raced the 356s and raced the 911s and driven some of the bigger cars, 934s, 935s. But this was my vision of a car that my wife and I could do rallies on and she could enjoy with me. So it's built up to be quite brisk, but also quite luxurious at the same time with customized glove leather, soft interior, and the little details that would make someone else as a passenger comfortable as well. I do this as enjoyment. I don't watch TV, I don't play golf, I don't, I work in my shop on my cars. And I did everything on the car except application of the paint. I did the metalwork, I fabricated the flares, I made the tail, I build the engine, I build all the suspension work on the car, but I don't do paint. So it takes me a while. I have about 2,000 hours of labor in this car. It was it should have been new, 140 horsepower car. Now it's 255 horsepower out of its original engine. So, and I went to JB Racing in Florida, it was Alex, one of Alex Jobe's crew chiefs, and we put it on his dyno and dynoed it to get the numbers, and that's with Walmart gas. So it's a 91% increase in power over original. And it drives just drives around town, drives on the road. The car's been lowered substantially and all the suspension modified with spindles raised and all kinds of little stuff I learned from racing. So it drives like a modern car, but with the classic look, and it's really quite brisk at a 2,200 pound car. This car was an original Puru red, but it was in really bad shape when I got it. So I stripped it down to a bare shell and mechanically stripped it down to bare metal. I checked for rust, because if I needed refabricating any panels, I did it. Found it to be perfect, so I disassembled the body completely and brought it to Oconomowoc, Wisconsin, and had a specialist up there paint the car chassis and parts for me. Then I brought it back, and then over time I just reassembled the car. And this is the finished look of it. We didn't have to paint the interior of the car, we didn't have to paint the engine compartment. All we did was clean it. It was all original. The owners gave me their original maps when they would take the car on vacations, and they would draw out the wraps through Canada and all that. They gave me the original 70s and early 80s Rand McNally maps with all their hand notes on it. 8-track tape in the car, which I repaired, and I've restored cases of 8-track tape, so I have everything from ABBA to ZZ Top. And I take the tapes apart, I splice where they're bad, I make new little felt pads and things in them, so the 8-track tape player does work in the car. The OBGYN that delivered my children was a Porsche file. And he had a 356 and he wanted to go racing. I actually knew nothing about them. And I met him sitting at the foot of the bed when my wife was in labor. He said, I've got one in the barn, I want to go vintage racing. Why don't you build us a car? So I brought the 356 to my house, I built the car, and lo and behold, in 1998 we were on the HSR Rolex Championship in a drum brake 356. And then it went on from there to the 911s, and then I did the HSR more and got the super license, and I got to drive other people's cars for them. So yeah, we won the class championship in 93 and 94 Rolex, and then we won the overall championship for HSR in 1998. And then sadly, the following year at the racetrack in Atlanta, my friend died, had a heart attack and died. So I started taking it more on a congenial level. And I just firmly believe in preparation. I've never had a race car built that had a DNF, ever, in 30 years. So I'm a real anal preparation person.